I'm dreading this. No one demanded me to make this. This is something that I wish to do. I'm not mentally prepared for this. I'm not emotionally prepared for this. This is SMG Sensei by myself. Now, usually when I critique a work, if it's especially slop, like indulgent fanfiction, I still am not that harsh, and I usually give it a lot of benefit of the doubt before I start to grill it for being hard to read. And when a fanfic is at least half decent, I usually hardly critique it at all. I usually focus on the parts that are fun to read because, I mean, a lot of fan fiction tends to be amateur anyway, including my own. So it's like, there's no real reason to nitpick that much on what could be improved because at the end of the day, a good story is a good story and we're just here to have fun. On the other hand, because this is something I wrote, no glaze will be tolerated and I must talk shit about my own fanfic to the highest degree that I am able to do so. I'm not gonna treat it as if I wrote the second coming of Joshua Sensei. It's not, I don't think it's that bad, but I don't think it would be right to talk praise about something that I am willingly entering with the sole purpose of trying to pick apart. The purpose of this is self-loathing, but also sometimes I think I give a lot of shit to other works without really going over whether I have the balls to back it up or not. Like, do I deserve to be giving out all the criticisms that I am? Or am I talking out of my ass? And this is going to reveal that. For example, if this is one of the worst fics I've ever read, then I should delete the channel. Otherwise, if this is one of the most genuine pieces of literary fiction I've ever read, then I guess I'm allowed to keep talking shit about whatever I want. Now, it's hard to look at this story with an objective lens, but like in general, when you're like self-reviewing your own work, you can also look at it in like a not like a beta reader's eye, but like what's called a revisionary eye. So it's like I don't really have to go in and like try to pull it apart limb from limb, but I can go back and look at this in the eyes of someone who is looking to revise their fic and make it the best version of it possible. It's been a while since I wrote this. I wrote this November 2024. That's over a year and a half ago. And so it's been a long time. My writing style has been tweaked a bit since then. So there's probably a lot I might have to say about this. Around maybe half a year ago, I also wanted to revise this fanfic. Not like fully rewrite it, but like go back and revise some details, add some details, maybe cut some stuff out. But I never got around to that, and I just ended up saying, fuck it, this fic is a waste of time. And the reason why I said it was a waste of time is because the direction it was going was wildly different from the initial vision I had. The initial vision I had was a lot simpler, but as I was talking to some people about this fic, the vision evolved into something completely out of my control because I was working off of something that was not prepared to handle that. And so it kept growing at a rate where I could not catch up to. So it fell apart and I left it behind, and now we are back to talk shit on it. Yeah. Shut the fuck up. You don't deserve to look at your description. You don't deserve your description to be looked at. Here we go. It's been 4 minutes into this recording. I've stalled for so long because I really don't want to do this. There's just a level of there's a level of cringe that I have to break past to get through to this, but this is like a rite of passage, I feel, to be able to really validate my ability to keep posting on this channel and review other fics. So my ears won't stop ringing. Once more, I must take the fall for my own pride. Next time, I'll be wary of taking the word of bloody girls sitting across from me in otherwise empty trains. And was it wrong of me to lead the charge into battle like the soldier I've trained within me would do? Sure, my ears were working when I heard about the tank. Even when my ears aren't working, my eyes tell me there's a tank. Even someone like me has a working brain to process all of that. But what I can't process is, why is the tank on some random city street? Moreover, the students that ran with me, that the Ren girl was clearly fed up with, charged into battle like this was a normal occurrence. That pigtail girl complained about hollow point rounds hitting her like they were mosquito bites. What kind of place is this? So, one of the issues with the premise alone is that it's not going to be one-to-one with the original story. It's going in a completely different direction. This story starts with like SRT. But the prologue, I feel like I should have revised the prologue to not be so similar to the original. And just the fact that I don't follow the main beats of the original story, like we don't go to Abydos first. We don't see most of the actually we do. If I remember correctly, I actually go through all the schools. Like what happens in this, what I attempted to do in the story was initiate the SRT plot line and then travel around the schools to actually get to know everyone, or at least some of the core characters. So it's not going to fall. We're not going to go to Abydos or anything like that immediately. Actually, I just avoid Abydos because I don't want to start that plot line. But the thing is, if we're going to bring the rest of the story in a different direction, what was the point of starting this story? Like maybe it was a nod to the canon story, but like I don't know. Like at the time, I thought it'd be nice to like play off of the original prologue a little bit. But now when I'm starting a story, I feel like I want to distance my intro from the canon prologue as much as possible. Because like most people who are fans of Blue Archive and read Blue Archive fanfiction have probably, if they haven't like played the game extensively, they probably know the prologue. Maybe because 1,000 other stories have started with it, but otherwise they probably already know it, and so there's really little reason to play off of it unless it's going in 180. Like it's gonna follow the same beats of fucking running into the tank. I don't remember if Wakamo does show up in this prologue, and then we take back Shale and stuff like that. It's like it follows the same plot beats. We don't have to do this. We can move the story in a different direction. That train girl that called herself president chose me, some unimportant rogue soldier, to be the sensei of a city of students that have the means to kill me as easily as crossing the street. If I could give myself 1,000 chances to make sense of it, I'd have given up on the first attempt. Now, could that ringing stop already? Oi, if you're gonna run recklessly into the field with us, you need to be able to stand up on it. Get up, sensei. I recognized the voice of the pigtail girl shooting through the debris that has me trapped. If that ringing wasn't clouding my mind, I could have pushed it off me by now, but I haven't had much experience with head-on tank blasts. Miss Pigtails pushes the debris off my chest and pulls me up, one hand on my arm and the other on my vest. Stick behind this wall. We can hold off with your orders for now, but if you're in town helping, you better be up and ready to dodge another hit from that tank. Miss Pigtails grabs her 2 firearms and charges back in. I've gotten too used to the back and forth of bullets. It's almost white noise to me. Still, as the noise continues, I'm reminded that I'm the most vulnerable person on this field. Normally, I'd consider myself a wild card that can change any fight I walk into. But when the enemy survives 100 hits while I can't even take one, it's gonna take a miracle to get through this. Another comment. See, a lot of the comments I'm gonna make is hindsight information because I know how half of the story goes and half of the intentions I had when writing it. The whole idea that this sensei thrives off of miracles basically carrying his ass, that was supposed to be like a major part of the story, but as I kept writing it, I kind of forgot to include it. Like genuinely, the importance of miracles, the concept of miraculous events happening that get sensei through the story, that idea is not something I really bring attention to often. Like I halfway through writing, I was like, oh shit, I need to do that, and so I started doing it again. But there was just a lot of downtime where just that didn't happen. There's something else. No, it's fine. I counted 4 students that went with me. Miss Pigtails, the flashbang girl, the syringe girl, and the black-clad sniper. Oh yeah, one of the other things I was supposed to do with this sensei is have him have a really hard time remembering the names of students, and then at some point I was just like, fuck it. Yeah, I just like, yeah, he can remember names, that's fine. I think I mostly did it with SRT and some select students that would have the personality to drill in their names. Like Yuka, I made it so that Yuka wanted him to remember her name and not as fucking Miss Pigtails. There's some other characters that eventually, because they kept repeating their name to him, he just kind of remembered it. But I don't know. It's just like I had a hard time committing to some bits because the way I was setting up this story was for it to last a lot longer than my patience allows me to write this story. Like I got through 70,000 words, and in the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot. But for what I wanted to achieve in that 70,000 words, we were getting almost nowhere. We were like very like apportioned to the SRT plot. I was like starting multiple quote unquote volumes at the same time. Like I think halfway I started the V1 V2 C1 plot. I think like I was like getting into starting V3 C1 because V3 C1 and V3 C1 and 2 are completely like detracted from V3 C3 and 4. I don't know. It's just this whole thing. It's like I was trying to do a lot of things at once, and it would take too much time to get through everything. It's difficult to be good with names when you're rogue, but nicknames do their job fine. My main concern, having brought that up, is what the 5 of us are supposed to do against a tank. Thankfully, the ground units on the enemy side appear to be easy to handle, but the difference between infantry and a tank. And that Chips girl, Momoka, called it a Crusader tank, which made Pigtails kindly clarified. A tank, but harder to fight. Works for me. I would never call myself unarmed either. I have enough reserved ammo to last me 2 or 3 fights with my one and only Super SMG. Oh yeah, I'm not a gunhead, so I never bothered with that. So having the title of the story being SMG Sensei when I don't know much about firearms is certainly a creative choice, but it's whatever. But I never asked for anti-tank rounds to be manufactured. If only I had a rocket launcher. Wishful thinking, huh? By now, I've somewhat caught my breath, but I still can't sell my firearm being ineffective. If getting rid of the tank was only an objective, I wouldn't be so worried, but then the Rin girl dumped some dysfunctional tablet on me and asked me to activate it. So, I do remember that in the canon story, we don't actually get access to the Shit'em chest until we reach Shankton Tower, but for the sake of this scene, I needed him to have the Shit'em chest, so. None of the students knew anything about it, and to their knowledge, it appeared to be a regular tablet. Hell, to my knowledge, it's just some electronic device. Oh yeah, and the sensei's so bad at technology. So, like, I was good at writing some quirks about him. Like, in some aspects, the story is, like, fine, but in the overall grand scheme of things, it just wasn't going to work. But, like, as a read, it's, like, whatever. It's, like, it gets the job done, possibly. If you want things to happen, like, things are going to happen, but if you want, like, the overarching plot to progress, it's not going anywhere. I hate to complain, but what am I supposed to do? Fight back against a tank? Turn on a tablet with no instructions? I'll be honest, I went along with the breeding trained president's girl's word because she talked— wow, that's a lot of words. I went along with the bleeding trained president's girl's word because she talked me into the idea of having citywide authority. I don't understand why I was offered such a power, but she convinced me that I alone had the capability to lead Kivotos. That was before. Now that tank shots are being fired towards me, I'm regretting that decision. I want to go home. Gah. I turned towards the sound, but Miss Pigtails answered that question, flying into my vision and out of it within a second. My eyes track her up to the dust cloud made from her graceful slam into the concrete. This damn tank! We can't break through! The sniper girl shakes her head as she reloads. We're doing all we can to halt Set's advance. I'm sorry, my voice is like— I've been talking so much shit that hold on, I need to get water. The sniper girl shakes her head as she reloads. We're doing all we can to halt its advance, but damaging it is out of the question. Without an actual effective weapon, we'll be stuck here until either side sends reinforcements. Our side won't be the one to do that. Even that's wishful thinking. We shouldn't be affecting the tank in any way, letting alone stopping it from moving. Are we out of options? Miss Pigtails picks herself back up and runs behind my piece of cover. I hope you're feeling better. We're at our wits' end. I shake my head, but not because I'm out of ideas. It's just— it hasn't even been a day and I'm forced onto the back foot already? A last resort shouldn't be the first card you play, but I've never played this card game before. This is how the city operates, huh? I'll have to learn the rules next time, but for now, I'll have to break them. I reach for my vest and grab the pistol holstered on it, the one weapon I trust more than my SMG. The super pistol. I know Miss Pigtails feels the same way. A pistol? Really, Sensei? I jump out of cover, aiming the pistol towards the tank. If I have to make a statement, it'll be a loud one. And, oh wait, the tank is farther away than I remember it being. A straight shot won't work, and I've lost all my momentum. The barrel spares no time. It was already pointed at me, so a few adjustments are all I need before it's ready to shoot. I could run. No, I should run. At the very least, get back to cover. If I hadn't put all my energy into aiming my shot, it would be possible. My eyes lock into the barrel. Am I facing death? What happened to me? Why did I choose to act so competent? I could have done so by staying concealed, but my failed showing is about to turn into a corpse viewing. Well, maybe I can live with this for however long I'll be alive. The girls will probably retreat. They'll be safe, able to regroup and challenge the tank with actual preparation. It's not how I would have preferred to be the sacrifice, but the end result is all I'm thinking of. My mind turns back to the president of the train. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of ways I could have saved myself. All of them telling me that I should have either not stepped onto that train or not talked to that girl. Not being on that train wasn't an option, but something about her words caught my attention. Maybe it was because she was bleeding. Maybe it was we were the only ones out here. However, I can't mistake how I felt when she first spoke. What did you say? Do you understand? It's okay if you don't. Even Rennie struggles to wrap her head around it. I'm sorry? But don't get me wrong. I don't really get it myself. Huh? Say, I have something to request of you. Will you protect the students? In hindsight, our conversation was nonsensical, but whatever loose screws I've got must have resonated with her. I'm still staring down the barrel of the tank about to give me a goodnight kiss, but my mind's not looking. I finally understand the ringing. I understand why my eyes won't stop ringing. My eyes? What? I understand why my ears won't stop ringing. Those words won't leave my head. I don't know why, but it doesn't matter. Sensei, look out! I close my eyes. We thirst for the 7 whalings. The blast from the tank drowned out every other noise. Trank? The blast from the tank drowned out every other noise. Or so I was told. I wasn't exactly listening. We bear the Kohen of Jericho. As the last syllable leaves my breath, I feel the bullet, inches from me, ready for impact. I couldn't hear the bullet. All I could hear was a soft humming coming from the tablet strapped onto my hip. I don't understand how. Sound doesn't work that way, but reality has nothing to do with this anymore. Welcome, Sensei. Arona is ready to help you. Is it from the tablet? The more pressing question is, where's the bullet gone? The smoke cloud around me says it's made contact, but I never felt it. Now, please lead your students to victory. I will ensure your safety. After her last word, my senses come back to me. The smoke begins clearing, and I start coughing on impulse. The gunfire around me has stopped, and once the smoke clears, I see why. The students have stopped firing, 8 eyes locked in my position to witness the aftermath. Everyone has their own reaction when they see me standing. As for my reaction, my legs take off, and I jump back to cover next to Miss Pigtails. Sensei, how did you survive that? I don't answer. Instead, I look up at the sky, my super pistol held up to my shoulder. The standing equivalent would be around my hip, but standing isn't really an option. Miss Pigtails adjusts immediately to this pace. Are you launching some sort of flare? Not quite. I'm essentially lobbing a grenade, but I can't quite measure the tank's distance with just quick glances. The base of the tank is roughly 147 meters from this position. Wind speed... That's enough, thank you. I raise the angle. I've dealt with worse distances, but only if I raise the pistol up from standing position. I lose about a meter like this, and the damage will be minimal without a direct hit. I'm assuming my predicament is on my face. Are you worried about something? Normally I need to hold out like this if the pistol was a meter higher, but I don't know how much higher I need to aim from down here. Is a single meter that influential? I don't want to find out. Let me think. Miss Pigtails closes her eyes. I look over to the others. The sniper girl is still firing back while the others are behind cover on standby. When I turn back around, Miss Pigtails is hovering her hands over mine, looking around my pistol like a prized artifact before placing her hands down. Are you sure this is the exact angle you need if you were standing? It would be more like this? Understood. Making the adjustment now. I can't feel her shifting anything, but she lifts her hands after half a minute anyway. Hold that, and if our measurements align, this will strike whatever position you are aiming at. Excellent. With this aim, I just need to hold and fire. When the trigger is pulled, my arm flies down with the pistol. A burst of smoke erupts from the chamber as a small, dotted black ball soars towards the tank. The sniper girl sees a shot and disengages, falling behind cover as the syringe girl pulls out her kit. I unscrew the back of the super barrel pistol and push it out, reloading the empty container with one of the dotted balls from my vest before screwing the barrel back. I've never seen that type of pistol mechanism. Is it spring-loaded? I don't know, I never asked. And that applies also to me, the writer, because maybe what I'm describing here doesn't actually work in real life, but hey, I don't care. I don't know, I never asked. I don't make these weapons, so I'll undergo an awakening when one of them malfunctions. I don't need to know the physics behind it. If it works, I'll use it. But will it? There it is, pigtails. An explosive whoosh erupts from the tank's position. Everyone peeks out from cover to see the result. And as I'd expected, the tank bursts into flames as the student manning it quickly pushed their way out to escape the fire. Any other questions? I don't turn to see a reaction, but where I expect awe, I get a sense of instant dread. Like a hawk glaring at its prey. What is it? Who are you calling pigtails? Hayase Yuka. She won't stop staring at me, and even though I never confirmed it, I know to be true. Instead, I turn my attention to the others across the street. They're still watching the tank burn, and unlike Yuka, my stare doesn't get their attention. Not that I've given Yuka any attention since she started staring at me either. Whatever, we'll have time to discuss later. Shouldn't we hurry to Chalet? She clears her throat. Hey, Trindy, Gehenna, we have to move. The others snap out of their marveling and move out of cover. Yuka and I do the same, and the five of us make a break for the building. Along our path, multiple fights, explosions, and fires continue breaking out of the streets. It's looking like more of a war zone in the city, much less one you can call the Academy City. Was it Rin who told me about that name, or was it the train resident? Either way, whoever told me was clearly wrong. At every turn, the flashbang girl stops, like she wants to join the fight, but Yuka continues pushing everyone to move forward. We dealt with the tank, all we need to do is clear the rest of the building. We push through for a bit longer, and finally, the base of the building is in view. There it is, Yuka calls out. As she says this, my earpiece buzzes, and I assume the same for the other four. Rin greets us on the other end. Excellent work, you five. Sensei, let us meet in the basement of the club room. It'll take a bit more time to catch up to you, so wait there. I look up. This is a club room? I call it a club complex, if anything. In what universe can this place be classified as a room? As I continue pondering the differences between rooms and complexes, Yuka's palm hits my back. Sensei, are you listening? I wasn't. Carry on. The rest of us will clear out the rest of the attackers. On Rin's command, you should enter the building. We don't have any tanks to worry about. Wouldn't it be better for me to help you with the rest of the fighting? Yuka shook her head. I still don't know how the tank shot missed you, but you shouldn't count yourself so lucky in future fights. We can take care of some of the ground units. Ah, that's right. I had almost forgotten about the miracle that occurred not too long ago. I must have simply accepted the fact I hadn't died without questioning it. After all, why bother? I'd love to test that invincibility again, but if there's some sort of limit, I shouldn't waste it on ground units. I nod and run towards the building entrance. I wanted to ignore the issue, even if I knew it would come up. I raised my hand up to my earpiece. Rin, I entered the main building, the one with the large tower. How do I get to the basement? There should be a directory at the entrance. This is the part I dreaded writing the most because this is just fluff. Him navigating his way to the basement, I could have just skipped it, but it's like I didn't want to skip environmental storytelling. Major air quotes there. The main thing with this prologue lasting so long is because I have a bad history with descriptivism, and so I wanted this to be a test of how descriptive I could be if I try-harded. Like, this prologue took me those first intro paragraphs took me like 3 hours. Just because I was really racking my brain over how to describe the scene without taking away too much of the detail, or without leaving behind too much detail. And so when I got here, I was like, man, this scene's so boring, but I want to keep writing it so that it doesn't feel like I'm making time skips for the sake of it, because that was also one of my weaknesses. Whenever I didn't want to write what was going on in the scene because I thought it was too idle, too boring, I was like, a little later, time skip. And so I didn't want to do that this time. And so I tried to flesh out this scene of him making his way around an empty chalet. There's no one in this building. And I don't know, it's just like, I was never happy with this, but it was the best I could do, I think, so just roll with it. Surely enough, in front of me is a standing panel showcasing a miniature map of the first floor of the building. It's not too different from a terrain map, and actually this one seems easier to navigate. I poke my head in the panel's face, looking for an indication of where to get to the basement. An icon showing a set of stairs shows me the basement entrance. I move my head away and get to walking. Even though I know where the basement stairs are, it doesn't mean the place isn't large. The windows bring in the morning light, but the indoor lights are off, leaving dark corners that make it difficult to see what's around the place. Eventually, I find the basement stairs and start descending. The stairs lead down to a single entrance, barely illuminated by some dim bluish light. I continue walking until what I can see is on the other side. I continue walking until I can see what's on the other side. My feet find a raised platform, but my eyes and mind are focused on the strange floating rock down below. It really is floating. What is that? A light rustle brings my attention away, even though my mind won't stop thinking about it. Is it some prank? It was moving up and down like it was really floating. As my eyes look to the left, I see both the stairs leading down and a figure that the stairs lead down to. I walk down, getting a clear picture of the masked person in front of me. At a glance, I see a halo and a bayonet. The dim lighting doesn't really help my case, and even if I care to make out the rest, there's a lot going on. For starters, hi, do you work here? Huh? It's like she just now noticed I was right in front of her. She has a mask, but when her head is pointed in my direction, there only are so many other places she could be looking. Oh, what? Were you one of the students that walked into the GC building? Sorry, I must have missed you. What's going on? If you weren't fighting the tank with us, were you clearing out the commotion over here? That would explain why there wasn't much resistance. This conversation isn't going anywhere. Are you alright? I'm leaving now. Yeah, like I said, I should have just made a new scene rather than try to rehash the prologue. This does in some way happen where Sensei runs into Wakamo in the basement. And when I was thinking about how to incorporate that, I was like, man, this part sucks, but I guess I'll try to write it in anyway. Like I've said 1,000 times already, I should have just not included it, but it's whatever. She drives past me, rushing up the stairs and out of the basement in a second. It sounded like she was in heels, but I don't think those speeds are possible in heels. With her gone, my mind returns to worrying about other things. I take a seat at the desk and turn the chair around to continue looking at the floating rock. I don't really know what about it evades me so much. First, I survive a head-on tank blast, and now there's a floating rock in front of me. Is this type of thing normal in Kivodos? After a while, I hear heels coming back down the stairs. I turn and see Rin making her way down. I've made it. What are you doing? Looking at this rock. It's floating. Yes, it's floating. Rin cleared her throat. Now that we're here, could you take out the tablet? I unlatch the tablet from my hip and hold it up. To tell you the truth, I was caught up with the rush of how many reports we were drowning under. I wanted to meet you here to give you the tablet, but I forgot I had already grabbed it the last time I was here. It's okay. I got to see the floating rock because of you. You'll be seeing more of it with time. Now, please activate the Shiden chest and regain control of the Sanctum Tower. I'll leave it in your hands. Rin walks back up the stairs and through the door frame. I look down at the tablet and turn it on. What looks like a video greets me next. A visual of a partially submerged, barely intact classroom with only a few desks is shown. But most importantly, there's a lone girl sitting at one of them. She raises her head and turns her head towards the screen. She teleports away, and as I'm looking for her, an enlarged version of her appears right in front of my screen, and that alone nearly made me jump back. Sorry to startle you, Sensei. Arona's here and ready to serve. You saved me from the tank blast, didn't you? I heard your voice back then too. Now that I have a clearer head to process it, I can hear the subtle, robotic undertone of Arona's voice. How did you do that? I just protected you as part of my job. You don't need to ask about the details. I didn't want to flesh out the details. Because then I'd have to explain those. Anyway, Arona girl, first things first, can you access Sanctum Tower? We need to reactivate all its functions. Yes, but we need to do your fingerprint scan first. What? Why? It's part of the protocol. Come on. You sound so uncertain. Fine, it's not that important. Give me 1 second, or more. Just a little more, and there! Admin permissions to the Sanctum Tower have been acquired. I don't know why I included the fingerprint thing. It was just like, oh, because I did it, I might as well allude to the fact that it happened, but I didn't want to write out the scene where he touches the finger to the little fingerprint spot. And it's like he's tapped the tablet a couple times already, so it's like his fingerprint's already on the screen. That's whatever. You now control Love Kiboda, Sensei. At her word, the basement lights flicker on and stay on. Now, the floating lock doesn't look mystically illuminated by the single light above it, but it's nice to be able to see around the room. That said, there's one other thing on my mind. All of it, you say? Yes, well, most of it. And this must be what that train president was telling me about. Control over all of Kivodos. Who would say no? If I ever ran into any issues, I could always hand it off to the GSC and... Wait, what am I talking about? Is it that easy to sway me with the notion of power? The train president sounded so earnest when she offered me that, and I let myself forget why I went rogue. It's always the one in power making the worst decisions, and then they throw it away their soldiers' lives to set those decisions in stone. Did I think I could be different? Who decided I had that level of self-awareness? No, it isn't worth it. What's your move, Sensei? Transfer the Sanctum Tower to the GSC. After all, Chalet was created under the president of the GSC, but it won't be me who makes the decisions at the top. If I had to describe what those executives I resented were like, old would be a good place to start. These are all students, so there aren't any old people making decisions. And maybe it's not the best idea to give power to students either, but Rin doesn't really seem like the student type. Not that I ever say that to her. Orona seems like she might agree with me. Huh? Are you sure? That's a lot of power you'd be handing over. Go ahead. Rin asked me to, and I don't really want to deal with all of that. I'll stay in my lane and remain a soldier. Soldier. I may not be rogue if I'm working under the GSC, but something feels different this time. As influential as the GSC seems to be, why do I feel like there's a different powerful institution I have to worry about? Oh well, I'll have time to worry about it later. Understood. Transferring permissions. Complete. Soon, Rin's footsteps come back down. Sensei, I've confirmed with those stationed within the Sanctum Tower. We've regained complete access to its functionality. It's wonderful news. Thank you for your help. Now that we've settled these issues, you can begin official operations as a Sensei of Chalet. This will be your headquarters and primary residence when you are unoccupied with long-term objectives. Do you have any more questions for me? Not right now. I'll see you around, Rin. I will ask Treasurer Aoi to organize our financial situation as quickly as possible. Once we sort out the rest of our situation, we will be able to have a helicopter ready to transport you across Chalet and Sanctum Tower at a moment's notice. That's convenient. Rather, it was an inconvenience that we didn't have a helicopter ready this time. Well then, have a good day, Sensei. Rin walks up the stairs and leaves. I lay the tablet on my lap and look up to continue glazing at the glazing? Yeah, he's glazing the floating rock, let's be honest. And look up to continue gazing at the floating rock. I can't take my eyes off it. Fate doesn't always play nice, though. Orona clears her throat and I look down. Sensei, you have a visitor. I sigh and reattach the tablet to my hip before leaving the floating rock room. Now that I'm moving away from the floating rock, these stairs seem much longer than before. I don't know why I made it so that he's so infatuated with the floating rock. He doesn't even get to see it that many times over the course of the next 70,000 words. But I thought having him, having like a really stupid quirk, like being into the floating rock, would be funny. Eventually, my head pokes out and I see the first floor again. I already heard her voice on my way up, but I can clearly now see the person it came from. Sensei! There you are. I step off the stairs and we meet each other in the middle. I'm here to report that we successfully drove off the rest of the intruders. The other three are on their way back to Sanctum Tower with Rin. I would like to say goodbye first. Unfortunately, we were only here to begin with for prison concerns. I'm not unlike the others, but while I'm here, I figured I had the opportunity to clear some things up with you. I'd forgotten about it, but even though it wasn't very long ago, it seems Miss Pigtails won't let anything go. May I have a moment of your time, Sensei? I love calling back to that line. It's like an inside joke I have with myself, where every time Yuka wants to talk with Sensei, I have to throw that one-liner out. It's so stupid. Yuka and I find the lobby and take our seats on one of the couches. She clears her throat and turns to me. First of all, what is going on? We haven't even started our discussion and she already looks mad at me. You remember my name, right, Sensei? Yuka something? Hayase. You better remember that next time I ask you. Is this really the conversation she had to pull me over for? Next question. How did you survive the tank shot? I've been thinking about it ever since it happened. We've understood that those with halos are incredibly vulnerable to projectiles like bullets, and yet you brushed off that tank blast without any dust on your uniform. Even a student would have been hurt after that direct hit, so why are you completely uninjured? I'm still unsure of that myself. Orona told me she did her job, and as it would follow, that explanation doesn't help one bit. Does she have a stronger version of the resilience the students have? All I know is that I no longer have to worry about being the weakest on the field. Before I open my mouth to answer, I feel a smile creeping onto it. No, not only that, it's a grin. I can't exaggerate the dread I felt from feeling so vulnerable. I realize now, I jumped out to fire my super pistol out of desperation. I wanted to think I could influence the fight, and in hindsight, I'm glad I could, but in the moment, I felt my identity being stripped away. Now that I have a Rona to protect me, I feel, how do I say it, powerful. Forget staying in my lane as a soldier. No, my lane has expanded. I've already had to sharpen my abilities to fight against entire armies, even if those withering executives were only throwing barely trained kids together and calling them armies. I saw how quickly those ground units fell to our gunfire. If I can withstand a tank blast, oh, I can already see what's possible. It must have been a miracle. A miracle? Sensei, do you believe in miracles? What else should I call it? It doesn't matter what it is. All I believe is that what's happened. And what's happened is that I've miraculously discovered strength. A miracle it'll be. Perhaps I do. One more question. What was that ball you shot out of your pistol? You called the pistol a grenade launcher, but no ordinary explosion contained in such a small barrel could get rid of an entire crusader. The super pistol? It's my last resort. Don't tell anyone, alright? Could you tell me about the ammunition, though? Oh, what exactly is that? I flashed her an innocent smile. It's a secret. Truth is, I don't know either. My only weakness used to be my fragility, and my lack of understanding of what my weapons were. Now, that lack of understanding is my only weakness, but I suppose my strengths will be enough to overshadow it. You can't tell anyone, remember? Alright, that was all I had to ask you. I'll be on my way now. Hold it. I take a deep breath. I don't know who Miss Pigtail thinks she is, trying to stand on even ground with me. I have to affirm myself as her teacher. I get to ask you a question in return, don't I? Sure. What is it? Even before we encountered the tank, there was something I couldn't fathom about her. It's stupid in hindsight, but let's just finish this paragraph. I thought it was strange enough that they could withstand bullets so easily, but no. What perplexed me most was something similar. Yuka, how do you manage 2 firearms at once? Your accuracy is in the worst I've seen, what with SMGs no less. How do you do it? What? No, I don't use them simultaneously. I have one as backup for critical moments. Then why even bother with 2? You can reload in less time than exchanging one firearm for another. It's simpler to swap to a loaded firearm than to a tempo reload in the heated moment. It doesn't get in the way, so it's a pure benefit to carry around. Yuka, honestly, don't give me that. I don't use the second one often anyway. Then why bother? I already told you why. Yuka begins storming off, but right before she walks out of view, she leans back and waves before leaving. I'll see you later. Goodbye, Sensei. See, the dumb thing about this is that Yuka is ambidextrous, and she does use both of them at the same time. I didn't remember that when writing this scene, but it's fine. We're allowed to change some of the details, so for the sake of the story, we'll assume that this version of Yuka doesn't know how to dual wield or akimbo fire. It's not like it's that useful anyway, right? I mean, Yuka does no damage. I mean, Yuka's most powerful weapon is that one normal skill shot that does more damage than her entire AA ammo, but whatever. See you, Yuka. Yuka walks away, signifying the end of our operation. I sigh, my breath mixed with relief from the tank fight, and the small bit of contempt from seeing Yuka carry around an essentially defunct firearm. I stand up and walk back to the panel. I locate the elevator and make my way toward it. I remember Rin telling me that my office is halfway up the tower, so up I go. I get off on the 13th floor and look around. A single hallway leads to a door at the end, and the walls are lined with glass, revealing a lot of the city to me. I can see clear borders separating parts of the city, especially the large snowy area. I assume those are the primary school districts. I make my way down the hallway into the office. The back wall is lined with glass, but the other 3 aren't. My tablet buzzes and I unlatch it. I turn it on and see Arona staring at me. What is it? You finally made it to your main office. This is where you'll conduct most of your daily activities, including reading through mail and sorting through paperwork. Paperwork. Additionally, students that are assigned to assist you for the evening are instructed to meet you here. Assistants? Correct. Since the president only appointed you to run activities at Chalet, you'll have an intense workload that your assistants will help you manage. You'll be able to connect with many students this way as well. I walk up to the desk and take a seat. I turn my chair around and look down at the city. Since it's your first day, you shouldn't have any requests. You should check tomorrow. For now, you should familiarize yourself with the rest of Chalet. There's a lot you haven't seen, and since you'll be living here, you should get to know the place. I stand back up. It's a big city, but Arona's right. Chalet is big too. I lash the tablet back onto my hip and turn around. Okay, let's explore. So, what I do want to say is I can make a lot of similarities. I can identify a lot of similarities between This Is Embarrassing to Say This and Joshua Sensei. And the main reason is because both of those stories are centered around a sensei that is capable in combat. Both of them have very similar story beats to the original canon prologue. One difference is that I take care of going around the chalet building in between chapters 1 and 2. You know, like that concept of the comic gap, where if your comic panels are spaced apart, the gap between them is supposed to signify sometimes like time gaps. This is what I call a chapter gap, where in between chapters I get rid of all the stuff I don't want to write because it's not important. Like, who cares if I describe the chalet building? We're not gonna be here for a lot of the time, so it's better that I just skip it. And that's my philosophy. My philosophy is cutting out the parts we don't really need for a really long time. Like, descriptivism is important, and I get that, and I'm bad at descriptivism, I'll admit that. But there are some extremes where it's like too much descriptivism makes it so that we're reading descriptions of stuff we don't care about, as opposed to the action, which some people want. Also, this chapter... Oh, I opened Discord. Also, this chapter is long, so it's like I don't want to read. I can only get through one chapter of this fic at a time, because one of the other things I had a problem with is my chapters used to be super short. This is a rewrite of a fic I wrote before called The Agent of Chalet, which that one is slop. That one is like, if I covered that, I would have so much more to say because it's just so much worse. It's like more reminiscent of The Agent of Chalet, more reminiscent of Joshua Sensei, because it's actually very similar to the plot beats. It's just slightly faster paced and we don't really linger on things for too long. This was more so that I would spend more time like actually conversing with the students rather than just trying to get the story and like trying to change up the story a little bit. As I said, this starts with SRT instead of Abydos. And just overall, it's just, I tried to make the story a more interactive and descriptive experience rather than just trying to speed run a story. And so thanks to that, since I didn't have a lot of experience with it at the time, I still don't have a lot of experience with it now because it's just not my style. But because of that, I was very amateur in that avenue when writing this. I have a lot more to talk about it, but I only have time for one chapter at a time, unless one of them is particularly short, in which case, maybe I'll do two. But in this case, one chapter is way more than enough, and I cannot do a second one. So hopefully it was fun hearing me shit on my own writing. Sometimes I didn't spend that much time actually commentating over it. But yes, I can clearly see, because I know the intentions I had when writing the fic, it's easier for me to point out the flaws in my philosophy and the flaws of my execution relative to my ideas. So hopefully, not hopefully, but it's likely I'll do more of these to get a different perspective on me critiquing other fics, so that there you can get more of an idea of like ideas versus execution, stuff like that, and my own personal thoughts, yada yada. Just a bunch of yap. So that will conclude this video. Thanks for watching. Again, every time I start a new one of these, I have to dread it, but I honestly think this was fun because I don't consider my own writing that bad, but it's just reading my own writing in general is just cringe. But at least it wasn't that torturous, so no romance, so it's completely fine. Anyway, that's all, and goodbye.